So, last time, Junior, along with his family's longtime enemies, formed the alliance and declared war on Elsie and the table. Want to know what happens next? Stay tuned. Hey, y'all, it's Letitia with Lighten Up Letitia, and we are back with the Family Business Season 6, okay? With full recaps and reviews. Don't forget to join us on the live panel reviews every Sunday evening. Make sure you keep your notifications on. So episode 1 is called Welcome to the Family. And we open with Elijah, who is preparing Brother Minister's body for burial when Uncle Elsie and Orlando show up to pay their condolences and also to assure Elijah that whoever is responsible is going to pay for this. However, Elijah challenges him and tells him, "Oh, is that so? We believe it's your son or your brother. And I will do what you will not." So FYI, I'm finishing up with Brother Minister. He must be buried by sunrise. So I must go to finish preparing him. But in 3 days, I will be unaliving your son. So they go to leave. And Orlando's like, "Come on now, Pop. We really can't let Elijah do this." He says, "Well, I'm going to do my best. And in the meantime, I need you to call a meeting of the table." So back at the house, Paris arrives home livid about how Niles and Bobby set her up. And she notices Roman sitting there and pulls out her blicky because she believes that he is Bobby's friend. Now everybody's trying to tell her to calm down, and Rio blurts out that they are triplets. She doesn't believe them, and I promise y'all this episode is exactly why I cannot stand Paris. Moving on. Meanwhile, Junior and Sonia are doing their thing, getting it in the bed. But she is like, "What are you doing? I need you to put your back into it." But he's being all delicate simply because she is pregnant. He's like, "Our baby is in there." But later on, she admits she's really scared at that meeting that she went to. It really scared her. And she didn't like the fact that they were talking about unaliving his family. Now here goes Junior talking about some F the family. Now, she tried to convince him that his family loves him. And he was like, "You know what? From this point on, you're not coming to the meetings anymore. You're too emotional. You're doing too much. You're uninvited from the meetings." And she was like, "Please, just promise me you won't unalive my babies or our babies, uncles and aunts." And so he said, "Listen, I promise that I won't shoot unless I'm fired upon." Now back at the house, again, they tried to explain that to Paris that Aunt Chippy had another baby and that he was stolen at birth. Now upstairs, Aunt Chippy is feeling like a failure as a mother and not knowing about Roman. And she is being comforted by Aunt Nene. And she said, not to mention all the stuff that's going on with Junior, again, she just felt like a failure as a mother. She's angry, though, about the fact that Margaret took him, Roman. But not only that, but now that the woman is gone, she can't beat her ass. So, you know how Chippy is. Anyway, Uncle Elsie and Orlando arrive home at this point, and Paris is still going off, asking her daddy, is this information true about Roman? Now, she and Orlando are on the same side that Roman is not their brother, but Uncle Elsie stated that they have reason to believe that he is, and that he will look into it. Now, when the DNA situation comes up, because, Paris and Orlando are calling for the DNA test, Chippy refuses and says that you can look at him and tell that he's ours. She was citing Roman's blockhead that's just like Elsie in her eyes. Now, Orlando tries to argue, but she shuts him down. Now, these dirty cousins, Niles and Bobby, meet up to see Niles off. He's getting on a private jet and jetting off somewhere. They're reminiscing about Uncle Willie. And Bobby tries to convince Niles to stay. Now, Niles thanks him for his help with everything, but he told him that he had his fun and that he needs to leave Paris alone and that Paris is off limits. So why did Bobby try to act like he was going to push him? Now, Niles was like, "I know you ain't really trying to figure out what I'm going to do if you don't do what I just told you. You don't leave Paris alone." So now, like I said, made that veiled threat and told him, "Listen, if I did this to her, what do you think I would do to protect her?" And left Bobby standing there looking foolish. Now, Uncle LC visits Aunt Coretta. He was wondering what's happening with Aunt Coretta. He wants to ask some questions, and she was like, I don't have anything to say, whatever. I knew she was going to do this to me. I didn't want to be left with this burden. He was like, but here we are. So is he or is he not my son? And she admits that Roman is indeed his son. And he was like, well, why did you take him? Why did she take him? Why didn't you say something? All questions that we're asking. And he was just absolutely irate. She tells the story, or a quick story, about the fact that basically Margaret was grieving her own inability to have children and that they had so many. That is not a reason to take somebody's baby. But moving on. He became, again, very irate. And in light of what he did to those people in season 5, I really thought he was about to choke her out. I really did. And so she started screaming, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He was like, sorry is not good enough. But he closed his eyes and then he just simply left. Now, here we are at Earl's Speakeasy, where Donna and Junior arrive, and they are there to meet Antonio and Dominique. Now, both groups are talking crap about each other, but they just playing the game, of course, in front of each other. And Antonio says that they need to step it up and make a move. And that Brother Minister taking him out was just not good enough. He said, this is war, and in war, people are unalived. And they must take out somebody important in order for the table to be shook, basically. So here go Junior talking about someone, like my pops always told me, bodies don't make money, smarts do. Now, the nerve and funny of you to be quoting your daddy that you're trying to take out, that you're coming against, that you formed a whole group to take down him and his empire. Anyway, so Junior reminded the group that they are in the money-making business, and he already has a plan to hit Elsie where it hurts. Now, back at the house, Roman is looking at all the family photos, and Nevada comes up and explains to him who Junior is, because Roman started to ask about who was this person. He said it's really complicated. He's not talking to the family right now. And if you want more information, you basically need to talk to your mom and dad. Now, later on, he makes a call or takes a call that his ride is outside. This is about 1 a.m. in the morning. And he's headed back to Brooklyn because he says he has to get away from these Huxtables. If he only knew. And Orlando was up making a sandwich and sees him leave out and is happy that he's gone. Such a hater. Anyway, so London and LoJack are sniggling and giggling at his shop. And child, she has been gone from the house for 3 days in the honeycomb hideout with his behind. Now, Roman walks up waiting for LoJack. And LoJack explains to London that that's Brandon's friend. So she leaves and he is not happy to see Roman. So Roman explains that he is still burdened by Brandon's death. And since that was his, best friend, it's not like he is unaffected. He definitely was affected. So, but he wants to ask LoJack for some advice. Eventually, LoJack says, okay, I'll give you some advice. What do you need? And he asks about the Duncans and if they really were part of an underworld or because they seem legit to him. Again, he thinks that they're like the Huxtables. And LoJack told him, no, they move more packages than UPS, and you'd be better off holding a live stick of dynamite than to mess with that family. And you know it. Now, the next morning, Aunt Chippy and Aunt Nene have made their famous breakfast for everybody, and they're waiting on Roman. So Rio went to go get him and found out that he was gone. So they called Rob because he was the one on night watch. And she starts going off on Rob. And Rob was like, I'm paid to make sure people don't come in. I wasn't given the directive to make sure people don't go out. And so I'm not kind of chuckling. There was a couple of them at the table looking like, what? He talking crazy? But anyway, finally, Uncle Elsie had to come in and calm Aunt Chippy down. Like, he's right. He's not a prisoner here. That wasn't Rob's job anyway. And then meanwhile... Orlando is sitting there smirking and eating his eggs. He don't give a care. Like I said, Roman left around 1 a.m. in the morning. And again, after Elsie calmed Aunt Chippy down, everybody's just sitting there looking. And Vegas is thinking, because he knows exactly where Roman went. And we do too. Of course, he went back to Aunt Coretta's house. So she asked him, did you get my text about your mother's funeral? And he was like, she's not my mother. She's my abductor. So he's really upset that he didn't know about all of this information earlier. And she goes to apologize. Meanwhile, Vegas knocks on the door and he came by to check on him. But I can tell you who wasn't checking for Aunt Coretta. He didn't even speak to the woman walking up in her house. Anyway, Roman felt overwhelmed and he said that he was surprised that anybody was worried about him. But Vegas, being the big brother that he is, he was like, listen, you my little brother and that's all I need to know. He said, I don't care if you in Brooklyn, Long Island, or Timbuktu. When you family, you family. And I started crying. I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a big brother move. Thank you, Vegas, for being the one to come and step up and go get your brother. Anyway, he said, now you don't come. He said, you can come with me or not, but the invitation is there. He said, but if you don't come, I'm going to keep on stopping by. So Aunt Coretta urges Roman to go ahead and go with Vegas. And I'm like, sir, and they look back at each other and I was like, that might be the last time you see Aunt Coretta. Like, child, I don't know. But anyway, Vegas was like, since we're in Brooklyn, I figured we go ahead and take care of some business while we're here. And they stop at this place that Roman recognizes basically as like a gangster bar. And Vegas said, you can either come in and so you can stay in the car or you can come in and have my back. They go in and handle the business because they had to dethrone this king of Brooklyn dude who owes him $100K. He owes Vegas that money. He was like, just because I was in jail for 5 or 6 years does not mean that your debt was erased and you owe me $100K. So they ended up taking all the men down. The king guy ended up getting to Roman, but Vegas came to the rescue. They got their money and they rolled out. That was Roman's first Duncan lesson. He wanted his first Duncan assignment. He was with his big brother. And then Vegas brought him home. And of course, Chippy is so elated. And he's sitting there like, well, he doesn't believe that he belongs. But she recalls when he robbed her, that she let him go because she felt something that only a mother could understand. And she was like, you don't have to call me mom, but please don't call me Mrs. Duncan. Now the table is meeting, and we have at the table, of course, Uncle Elsie, Orlando, Juan, Senor Cruz, Consuela, Detroit Red, Dimitri, and KD, and they all meet about what they're going to do about the alliance. Now KD mentioned that the senator is now on their side and they need to be calculating. Now Orlando thinks they need to start dropping bodies, and Consuela said, yeah, and we need to cut it off at the head, aka your son Junior. Now Elsie makes a protest when Vegas walks in with news that they hit the truck. What truck? The truck. So they pan to the alliance snatching this truck off the street, and they believe that there's nothing in it until Junior moves the decoy boxes and reveals racks on racks on racks. Child. First episode. Then in episode 2, which is called My Son, the Thief. Child. Chippy has to go and collect her husband, who is still on the boat reeling about the news of the truck. And she was like, does this have anything to do with Junior? Yes, everything to do with Junior. He said, I don't know if I want to or if I can protect him anymore. He stole $140 million. Not even the table knows the routes of this truck. So he knows that this was Junior's doing. And that Junior is sending a message that they are not afraid of us as the table anymore. And Chippy says, well, they should be, because they effed with the wrong ones. I know that's right. So here go Donna and Junior chuckling about their heist, a whole trauma bond. Anyway, they couldn't believe that they pulled it off. But he says, like Pop always says, You have to think outside the box. Again, quoting his daddy, who he is trying to take down for a second time. Lord have mercy. Anyway, Junior is getting ready for Sonya's doctor's appointment, and Donna gets a booty call with a man who's got drawers that got her face on it. Detroit Red, you better not be out here with no Donna drawers on. Anyway. But wouldn't that be something if he was the boo and he sit on the table and she with the alliance? Lord, please. Please don't let Detroit Red be disloyal, Lord. Please, please. Anyway, moving on. The girls came to see London, and they missed her and they kissed her, and they said that they've been good and that they've been having a good time and having fun with their new uncle. Now, London is like, new uncle? Now, at the table, everyone is looking out for this truck. But Chippy was like, we already know who did it. We need y'all to go. Why ain't y'all out there talking to them? So Consuela is like, well, what you expect for us to do? You want us to go confront them and end up like Brother Minister? She said, no, I want you to get some info, mix it up, flip it, whatever, and give it to us like you do, like you're supposed to do. Now, Elsie offered $10 million to each member until the truck was recovered. And he said he'll take responsibility about it because he was supposed to have dealt with Junior a long time ago when it comes to this. But please, still find this truck. Now, they leave and Vegas says the money is one thing, but this disrespect is too loud and it cannot go unpunished. Now, Uncle LC asked him, so you want me to unalive your brother? Now, Vegas sighed. I mean, it wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either, child. Now, the family is eating breakfast when London comes in and asks about this new uncle, thinking Uncle Larry might be in town. Rio and Paris look around, but Rio is finally like, okay, it's complicated, but we're triplets. And and then he was like, just wait and talk to your mama until, when she's ready to talk about it or whatever. So they bring Rowan in to introduce her to him, and they recognize each other from LoJack's place. But he says that they never met. Now, at the doctor's appointment, Junior and Sonia find out that they're having a big old, healthy, probably 9 to 10 pound baby girl. That is a big baby, y'all. Woo! Now, I can't tell if Junior is happy or not, but he then gets a call from Antonio, who reminds him that they have business out of town tonight. Now, London is gathering the girls to go to school. And Roman is outside trying to get a ride, but he has no minutes. I was like, they still got minute phones? Child. Anyway, she approached him about lying, and he was like, well, we saw each other, but technically we never met. He was like, plus, if you wanted everybody in your business wanted you to know about you and LoJack, then you would have said something. So I figured it wasn't my place to say nothing, and it wasn't my business. So she was like, okay, I got you. That's you smarter than you look, and if you my brother, we're gonna get along just fine. Now I heard you need a ride. Where you need to go? He was like, well, if I go to the mall so I can get a suit. She was like, no, baby, I'm not gonna take you to the mall. We don't do malls, but I'll take you to Pierre's men's shop, the boutique where all my brothers and my daddy, or our daddy, gets their suits. So she takes the girls to school, and they run into LoJack, sees Roman in the car smirking. And London warns Roman about keeping the secret. Now, he said he notices that secrets is a running theme with the Duncans. And for the second time, someone told him that he does not know the half. Now, we get a Black Hamptons crossover. At this press conference, we see Cornelius takes the stage to introduce Bobby the Beast Boyd, who then takes the time to announce and flaunt his new fiancée, Karen, as well as announces that he will be having an upcoming retirement from boxing. Everyone is watching, including Paris, who vows to get revenge on him, and Niles. Now, Rio was like, girl, you sure you want to be messing with Niles like that? She was like, no, but Bobby needs to find out that I'm not the one to F with, which is exactly what Niles told Bobby. Now, meanwhile, at Pierre's, London dropped Roman off at the boutique. He tries on a nice black suit for the funeral. And when he gets to the price, he finds out he cannot afford it. I think it was $1,000. And Chippy walks in to say that he'll take both the suit as well as a pair of black shoes in size 11. And so she talks to him. She's like, well, did you love her? And he was like, at one point, he would have given his life for her. And so she said, okay. But he doesn't want to burden Chippy or anybody else for that matter. But they're trying to make him feel comfortable, but he just doesn't know how because he doesn't know them like that. He never lived like that. So she was adamant, no, you need a suit to go pay your respects, and she asked her, did you hate her? Or do I hate her? Yes. Do I want to hate her for what she did or what she took from me? Yes. She's like, but I can't because you loved her and I don't want to hurt you. And she told Roman that from this moment on, money is no problem and you are a Duncan. Now, Elijah is sitting in the garden when Nefertiti visits, y'all. Says her mother is grieving and wants to take her own life. And as a matter of family honor, those that are responsible for Brother Minister's unalivement must be dealt with harshly. Elijah tells her he knows that she's absolutely capable of doing so, but please allow the brotherhood to be able to handle it on her behalf. Now, she has questions about his death anyway, and questions the fact that Brother T is still alive, but her daddy is not. So he has to explain to her that Brother Minister sent Brother T ahead of him to warn us, the rest of us, Elijah, Elsie, everybody, of the issue with the alliance forming and them coming after Elsie, which is led by Junior Duncan. So Brother Minister and Uncle Elsie are friends, but Junior turned Judas. That is what Elijah told Nefertiti. And so she responded that if you do not deal with him, I will. Now, back at the home, Roman is playing video games with all his nieces and nephews, and Roman helps little O win against Nevada. Now, the kids are cheering, and Orlando walks in, livid that Roman is playing with him. Then he goes into a fit about little O having too much excitement. Lord have mercy. Anyway, saying that leaders are readers. They don't sit around playing games all day. Now, you see Nevada sitting there, right? He's clearly a leader and a reader and also can play video games. People can chew gum and walk at the same time. Moving on. Nevada told Roman not to take it personally, but that Orlando has trust issues, but he's cool when he warms up to you. Now, this episode is the reason why I can't stand Orlando. They get on my nerves. Anyway, later on, Orlando puts little O in the car for an appointment he's going to when he notices a vehicle outside the gate. Now we see DJ, and Orlando tells him to go check it out. Meanwhile, Roman comes out in his black suit. Orlando doesn't even say anything. Clearly, he's going to that funeral. Moving on. So the vehicle is his ride to the funeral. It's that girl that he was messing with him and Brandon were out there together. So she starts asking questions and being nosy, and he had to shut her down. But she did have a point, though, when she said, so your family owns a car dealership, but they couldn't get you a whip or at least give you a ride to your mama's funeral? Now, I agree with that. Anyway, now at the church, they're at the funeral, at the church services for Margaret, and Roman and Ketta and old girl sitting there. As the pastor is going on and on about Margaret being a beacon of light and the great thing about mothers and blah, 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 child. He crying and he can't sit still. And he finally is getting up like, I can't even do this shit. He went to go get up to leave, and we see Vegas steps in and says, we got your back, bro. And then Rio says, we couldn't let you go through this alone. And y'all, I just started crying because they panned to Vegas, Rio, Paris, Curtis, and Nene, Nevada, and CJ, who all were there to support him at his mother's funeral. I'm about to cry now. I was crying. I boo-hoo so much. I had to stop it. And I played it several times afterwards. It was such a touching moment. And I love how the Duncans are coming together for him, even though, quote unquote, they don't know him and he doesn't know them. And it was just a sweet moment. Let me get myself together. Okay. Okay, so then Orlando is at the hospital with little O, who's in the hospital bed, and they're going to keep him overnight because his levels are low. So they're going to bring in Dr. Lomax from LA. He's talking to his mom on the phone and saying that he wants to notify Ruby. Now, Aunt Chippy is like, that might make things sticky because Consuela told them that Antonio has a $500,000 bounty on Ruby's head. You know, because she took out the nephew. I forgot his name, child. Anyway, so then Aunt Chippy and Uncle RC are on a private plane to go take care of business somewhere. Now, at the repast, everybody is hugging Roman, and then Aunt Coretta is out there with the nerve hugging folks too. Anyway, Vegas is approached by a new character, Kendra, who went to high school with him. And at one point, Miss Margaret was her mother's nurse before she had passed away. So she notices his lack of a ring and gives him her number. I love how they work together because this Kendra character is Michael Jai White's real wife in real life. I love how they get a chance to work together and be each other's love interests. Anyway, so then Paris has peeped him up at the repast trying to get some poom poom. And Vegas gets a text at this point that they found the truck. So he and Paris head off to go find it. And then they take out all the men that's protecting the truck, only to find that there's nothing in the trunk. If you made it this far, I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And again, don't forget to join the live panel every Sunday for the group of us that will be here discussing the family business, because the family business season is back. Again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, holla!